Listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our Meet FileMaker 15 webinar. My name is Robert Holsey, Product Manager at FileMaker, and I'm really excited to be here today to talk to you about our newly released FileMaker 15 platform. Today we'll show you our latest features with this release that enhance mobility, integration, security, and performance. We're also joined today by Product Manager Vinodala, who will be doing today's live demo. But before we get started, I have some brief housekeeping notes. For the best experience, we strongly recommend that you participate in this web seminar with at least a broadband connection. If you have any problems or require online assistance at any point, please contact Citrix Technical Support at 888-259-8414. During today's presentation, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions. So what you want to do is go into the control panel, click on the questions section, and enter your question and click send. We'll cover as many questions as we have time for at the end of this presentation. Now, with this release of the FileMaker platform, we're going to continue to provide you all the tools that you need to create unique custom apps that go anywhere that your business takes you. And it really begins with FileMaker Pro and FileMaker Pro Advanced. This is where you'll be building your custom app as well as running it on both Mac and Windows operating systems. Once you've built something that you're ready to share with your work group, you'll want to host it using FileMaker Server. This will ensure that you also have reliable backups as well as secure connections to all of your clients. To access your custom app through an iOS device, you can go ahead and download our free FileMaker Go app from the iOS App Store. And to access it through a web browser, you will leverage our FileMaker WebDirect technology, which is part of FileMaker Server. Now, turning to the highlights of this release, which is focused on delivering stronger essentials for creating your unique custom apps, we've made enhancements across the entire platform, as you can see represented in this slide, to areas such as mobility, ease of use, and of course, security and performance. Let's go ahead and begin with mobility, focusing first on FileMaker Go. For those times that you need quick and secure access to your custom apps, we are now supporting Touch ID, which is a convenient and secure way to unlock your apps with just the touch of your finger. We're also introducing support for app extensions, which will allow you to leverage the unique capabilities of other apps on your iOS device and share and modify content with your FileMaker custom app. For example, you can send a photo from FileMaker Go to your favorite photo editing app, make some enhancements, and then using a bit of scripting actually save it right back into your custom app. Again, allowing your users to leverage the capabilities of their other iOS apps installed on their device. In addition, we'll make it possible to easily send and receive files, including documents, images, videos, and more, via cloud storage services such as iCloud and other popular file sharing apps, again, that you may have installed on your device. FileMaker Go 15 will also support iBeacons. Now, those of you not familiar with iBeacons, it's an Apple standard technology that allows iOS devices to detect their proximity to beacons, some of which you can see here represented on this slide. By adding this capability to FileMaker Go, you as developers are going to be able to create some really interesting proximity-based interactions for your end users. So for example, you could automatically pull up information for a self-guided tour, product descriptions at the point of sale, the location of inventory in a warehouse, and much more. There's lots of capabilities here. We're actually going to share an example of one later on during the demonstration. Now, for a convenient way to launch your custom apps in FileMaker Go, we're now supporting 3D Touch. As you can see here in the screenshot, we're doing a 3D Touch on the app icon, which is going to bring up the 3 most recently accessed custom apps that you have access to from FileMaker Go. Now turning focus over to FileMaker WebDirect. In addition to the desktop and tablet support that we've had in previous versions of WebDirect, we're now introducing mobile phone support as well. In addition to simply running your custom app on a mobile phone, the responsive user interface in FileMaker WebDirect will automatically optimize the FileMaker WebDirect app interface for a streamlined experience on your phone, really making dialogue such as you see here feel much more touch-friendly. Now, we've made a number of enhancements to areas such as automation and integration, as you can see here. And as many of you, I'm sure, are aware, in FileMaker 14, we introduced a brand new script workspace. And as part of FileMaker 15, we're following up on that with some usability tweaks and enhancements. One of our top requests we received for the script workspace was to be able to undo and redo changes when you're creating and editing scripts. So we're introducing a multi-level undo redo, which will allow you as developers to easily experiment with your scripting changes with much more confidence. So you go in, make some changes to your script, save them, see how they perform. If you're not happy, you don't have to worry. You can go right back into the script workspace and undo those changes. We're also adding red highlighting to indicate scripting errors. This is especially helpful when you're importing a script from another custom app and maybe you don't have required layouts or subscripts like you can see here in this example. So we'll highlight that for you, make it much easier for you to pick them out, go in and make your changes. And if you're working on a script and want to check for problems manually, you just simply go up to the script tab header, right click, and you can select check for problems. Now this next feature is something that you won't notice immediately when you install your copy of FileMaker Pro 15. But once we push out our next update, our vrevs, you'll see this in-product notification come up on launch. It'll also include the release notes, so you have an idea of what this vrev is all about. And instead of having to go to our website and manually locate the appropriate upload or upgrade for your version, you can simply select the download update button. You will then see a dialog that comes up. It'll download the update for you. It'll tell you when it's ready to install. Clicking ready or install update. Once it's finished, it will restart the app for you and give you a notification that everything was successfully updated. Again, this is a really great, convenient way to get the latest versions of our software. And for those of you out there as DBAs or systems that you don't want your end users to see these updates automatically, you do have control over it, just like you did with our previous update notifications. Now, another thing that many of you are probably aware of is that for many releases now, FileMaker has supported live two-way communication with top SQL sources such as Oracle, Microsoft SQL, and MySQL. And with this release, we're also introducing support for DB2 as well as Postgres. Now moving on to some areas of ease of use we've made improvements to. The first of which is a brand new Get Started screen that you'll see when you launch FileMaker 15. This is really aimed at helping brand new customers to the platform get oriented and understand what their options are to begin. This is also where they'll have access to our 4 new basic starter solutions, which covers contacts, inventory, content management, and tasks. Now these are simplified solutions, no bells and whistles. It's really, again, aimed at helping new customers get started, not be overwhelmed as they start their FileMaker journey. The Get Started screen also introduces them to concepts like converting an existing file, such as an Excel or tab delimited file, and of course creating something brand new from scratch all of their own. Now, once they've gotten in, started building something, maybe have some questions, they'll be able to leverage our new web-based help system, which, especially on the macOS side, is going to return search results much faster. We've also gone through, cleaned up some of the content, streamlined things, so that hopefully you can find that information you're looking for much easier and quicker. Now, those of you that may need access to the help system while not connected to the internet, we do have access to a download FileMaker Pro 15 help link right from within the help. This will download the entire help system, bundle it up. You can store it locally on your disk and have access to it just like you would if it was web-based. Now we've got a newly designed status toolbar in FileMaker Pro, which keeps your custom apps looking fresh. We've also introduced color in layout mode to help better differentiate the different tools, making it really easy for you to find the one you're looking for. We've also made some improvements to our inspector, updated that, moved from a tab UI to icons, adding color, again, keeping it nice and fresh. Next up is an area that's really important to us at FileMaker, which is security, and we've made a number of enhancements here. Now, knowing you have a secure connection to your data is a fundamental key to good security. And with FileMaker Server 15, when the server administrator enables SSL, but maybe perhaps is still using the FileMaker Supply default certificate or an expired certificate of their own, we'll show a very visible warning message right within the admin console, as well as we'll add a security message that'll be registered inside of the event log so you can keep track of it there as well. We've also made it much easier to obtain and set up third-party SSL certificates by adding a UI for it right, again, within the admin console. We've added support for SAN and wildcard certificates, in addition to adding support for new popular certificate vendors such as InCommon and DigiCert. Now that we've helped you get all that set up on the server side and you've got good secure connections, it's very important that we communicate those connection states to your end users. So that's why with FileMaker 15, when a user connects to either a custom app or a website or a host, and in a situation where we can't verify the certificate information, we'll now display a warning dialog as you see here on screen. In addition, if the user wants to know more information, they can actually click on the View Certificate button, and that'll give them the full information about that certificate and why we couldn't verify it or where there may be an issue. Now, we've taken care of making sure you've got good secure connections, but we're also doing things to protect you from more casual security risks, such as someone standing over your shoulder and taking a peek at what you're typing into the file. So we're adding a new control style called Concealed Edit Box for fields. Now, this does not encrypt the data in the field, but it does obscure the data. So as you're typing in content, we'll, instead of placing the character there, we'll place a bullet mark, again, really aimed at protecting you from someone standing over your shoulder and watching what you type. Moving on to performance, we've got some enhancements here as well. First of which is something that for those of you that have portals that do complex sorts or filters, you'll really appreciate this. In previous versions of FileMaker, if you had a portal that was doing a sort or filter, you would have received a dialog as soon as you hit that layout that required that sort or filter. And it showed you a progress, which was nice, but it also prevented you from interacting with anything else inside of FileMaker Pro, so you couldn't interact with the rest of your custom app. With FileMaker 15, we've moved those actions off to a separate process. So now when you come in, you're free to move around your custom app, even add new records or modify records. And instead of that having to wait for that content to sort or filter, we will show an indicator right inside of your portal. As you see here on screen, once it's completed, that information will pop in and you can use the portal just like you would in the past. Now with our top call statistics logging capability, the FileMaker Server Administrator can quickly see what the most expensive recent activities of their deployed apps are under actual use on their server. This allows them to more easily pinpoint any performance issues which they can then address inside of their custom app. FileMaker Server top call logging shows the top 25 calls from connected clients that are taking the longest time to process, identify which client or clients are affected, and the duration of the call. We'll produce a top call statistics log file, which then the administrator can analyze in something like FileMaker Pro, like we're doing here. So this will really help you identify those bottlenecks that may be impacting your other users. Okay, so I just went through the highlights of this release at a very high level, but seeing them in slides versus seeing them in action is very different. So at this point, I'd like to turn things over to Vinodala to show you today's demo.
Thanks a lot, Robert. And I think that was a great introduction to what we're offering in FileMaker 15. From the platform level, you saw updates and improvements throughout the product line, both in FileMaker Go, Pro, WebDirect, and Server. So today I'm going to spend some time demoing some of the 15 feature set and also demoing how they interact with the current feature set that already exists inside FileMaker. So we're taking a slightly different approach this release and then this webinar than what we traditionally do. And so what we want to do is basically go through a real world use case of how some of these 15 features and some of the features that already exist in FileMaker come together to solve real world business problems and real world use cases. So I hope you find that exercise interesting. So in this demo, we are tracking a fictional high-end fitness center called Tailor Fit. Though Tailor Fit is fictional, all the use cases that you see here presented in this demo are real-world use cases. These are really being used by people or will be used by people after the launch of 15. So TaylorFit is a fictional high-end fitness center, and before they adopted the FileMaker technologies and the FileMaker platform, they were very much a paper-based company. They managed all their users and accounts and equipment information, everything based on paper, and as you can imagine, this was very inefficient, information got lost, and they adopted the FileMaker platform. So let's go ahead and take a look at what they've been able to do with the FileMaker platform using some of those tools that we've showed you earlier today. So let me close out of my keynote here, demo, and open up my demo. So what I'm doing here is I've got a physical iPad here sitting on my desk, which is an iPad Pro. And this iPad Pro, I'm reflecting onto my computer screen using reflector technologies, so you will be able to see it in this webinar. But everything that you are seeing on the screen is happening on this iPad sitting on my desk. So on the home screen, I've got FileMaker Go running. So these iPads are available to all the trainers in the training center. So when a trainer arrives at the training center, at the fitness center, they receive this iPad to manage their work and their workload and clients for the day. So these iPads, they have FileMaker Go on them, which was downloaded from the App Store. Once you tap on FileMaker Go, it goes ahead and connects to FileMaker Server, which is hosting all the applications available for FileMaker to go to use. And this one, the one we're most interested in, is the TaylorFit application at the top left corner of the screen. Using custom application icons, they've branded this application with the TaylorFit logo. This, as some of you are aware, is a feature of FileMaker Go and the FileMaker Pro and WebDirect as well. It allows them to customize that experience. So once I tap on this, what happens is you'll see the first new feature of FileMaker 15 we're talking about, which is Touch ID. And the way this is enabled is probably going to be very familiar with our FileMaker developers, which is a couple of check marks that you turn on in your FileMaker solution and on the iOS device, and you get Touch ID support. Try to make it very simple. And the way this Touch ID works, it is using the native Touch ID application APIs that comes with iOS. So as a result, this works exactly the way it would work anywhere you see Touch ID. So I have my thumb here. I'm going to put it on the home screen. It'll scan the fingerprint. Oops. It'll scan the fingerprint and let me in. Just give me a second here. Looks like we have a little bit of a network latency issue. There we go. Let's try it again. There, it scanned my fingerprint, and it's now letting me inside the application. So here, once inside the application, you see the TaylorFit application. It takes up the entire screen of the iPad. And here, the user can't really tell that they're running on FileMaker Go. It feels very much like a native iOS application. And the way the user interacts with this is similar to the way you interact with other applications on your iOS device. So when I tap in here, I can create an account for my client. I hand this iPad to them to allow them to create a password for their account. So when they go ahead and type in a password here, this is that new feature, the concealed edit box, which you're probably familiar with when you use iOS applications. This allows any bystanders to not read the password that you're typing in, not read sensitive data. So this comes with FileMaker 15 now. So I go ahead and hit Tab, finishes up the rest of the form, and when I hit the create account, it goes ahead and creates some information about them. Here I can, using the keyboard, type in their first name and last name and hit continue. And before this platform was available, all this again was done through paperwork. You know, all these papers had to be filed, they had to be re-entered into the database manually, resulting in some typos and errors. All that goes away. Here we have the signature capture. So for an authorization form, the user wants to come in and go ahead and sign the release forms. They can actually do this right on the screen here. And because this is working on iPad Pro, it's also enhanced to support signature capture via Apple Pencils as well, should the user want to use that. So I go ahead and hit accept. And now the authorization form is electronic. There is no need to scan all your documents, file them away. It's all being handled electronically. And to sign the liability forms, I just go ahead and tap on them and file it away. Very simple. Now that the customer has signed up with TaylorFit, what they want to do is sign up with a trainer. And they want to work with some trainers that are available early mornings. And before this application, they had to go through a number of different books, coordinate schedules, and it took some time. But being electronic and inside the FileMaker database, when I click on the early morning check mark there, I get all the trainers that are available to me during that time frame. So when I tap on View using popovers that come with built into FileMaker, you can see information about Sarah here, her interests and hobbies, and there's even a video that can play about her where she introduces herself. Similarly, I can look through all the other trainers and find the ones that I like. So here I'll pick Sarah, Jack, and Ken. These trainers seem to be the most interesting to me, and I hit continue. When I hit continue, it's going to load up a table, a calendar with all the information on it. Looks like we're having a little bit of a network issue there. There we go. So here we see on Wednesday that Jack is available, and in the rest of the calendar, we see all the other trainers that are available. And I really like to work with Jack in the morning there at 5 a.m. So I'm just going to go ahead and tap on his name. And when I do that, I'm told, hey, you're ready to work out with Jack. And what's also happening on the server side is we have a scripting server-side script that sends a reminder email to all the customers for when they've scheduled, just so they don't miss their appointments. So that was a great way to start converting the paper-based business into the FileMaker platform, utilizing some of the new features of 15 and some of the features that already exist. But what more can we do beyond this? So for the trainers, they created a separate interface that they work with whenever their client arrives at the fitness center. So the trainers are provided with a new workout view. So you can see that when I tap on it. And this gives information about Mark Bell, which is the client that came in, and all the work he's doing. So one interesting feature of this layout is the iBeacon support. So there's a which station button at the top of your screen there. And as soon as I tap that, what happens is that it's detecting the closest iBeacon to the iPad device. And based on that, it understands proximity-based information and knows which training station the client and the fitness center trainer are sitting at. So in this case, what happened is that there were 21 different workout stations throughout the gym, and they put one iBeacon at each of the training stations. So when this iPad approached a training station, the iBeacon communicated with it and let it know which training station it is near. Based on that, we pull all the information, such as the history of what the client did on this. There was really no need to maintain logs, books, papers. All that was taken away, and everything is maintained electronically for quick reference. So that was a unique way of using iBeacons. But as Robert mentioned earlier, there are other applications for iBeacons as well, such as art galleries and art studios, or inventory management solutions, a number of different applications. So we're pretty excited to see what you guys come up with this technology. And again, this was done through FileMaker scripting, the same script steps and the same type of scripts that you are already familiar with. You don't have to learn new concepts around what the underlying technologies of iBeacon are. You don't have to know the Cocoa APIs to do any of this. We've put it pretty much in our FileMaker scripting engine. So the other applications, other things you can do on this layout is that you have this report issue button. And when I tap on this, it's a popover that comes in, and I can go ahead and immediately contact the office manager who's also using this application, and they're alerted when there's anything wrong with this station. Another great thing is the multimedia capabilities that are built into FileMaker Go. FileMaker Go, as you know, can take photos and videos using the native camera built into the iOS device. But we think we can do a little bit more with that with some of the features of 15. So when I go ahead and want to take a photo, let's say I'm working out with my client, I want to take a picture of their workout as a way to encourage them, as a way to log what they're doing. So let's go ahead and take that picture. So imagine now I'm at the gym. You're going to see our studio here, but just imagine I'm at the gym working out, and I just take a picture of the client. Hello, everybody. And what it's doing is it's taking a picture, and now I want to share this with my client. So I hit continue. And what I do here is when I open up the with the share sheet, what I'm getting here is the app extensions dialog that comes with the iOS device. This app extensions dialog you may have seen in other applications on your iOS device. So what we're able to do here is integrate FileMaker Go with the rest of the applications and the ecosystem that comes with the iOS device. So here I can actually take this picture and email it or put it in my notes. I can save it to PDF in iBooks. There's iCloud, print it. There's all kinds of applications. But an interesting thing is you see here the Messenger application. And this is the Facebook Messenger application. And what this is we just downloaded this Messenger from the Apple App Store, the iOS App Store. And when that application is downloaded, it automatically registers itself with the iOS and tells it that certain app extensions are available. It offers certain app extensions. So in this case, the Facebook Messenger application tells iOS that it allows other applications to send messages to Facebook contacts. So when I open this application, I put in my Facebook username and password, and it now made all my contacts available. So my client, when I'm working with them at the Tailor Fit, I want to send them a message. So I go ahead and hit the Messenger application, which brings up the interface to send a message to them. I can write a message here, great work, and go ahead and send it off to them. So that was a great way to basically take the information that's in FileMaker Go and share it with the rest of the apps that are on your device. Of course, Facebook's not the only one that supports app extensions. If you download iCloud Drive, for example, you will get access to your cloud-based drive. If you download Dropbox and you have a Dropbox account, you can upload these files into your Dropbox as well. So there's a number of applications out there that provide app extensions. And again, this is another area where we're curious to see how you'll take this feature and implement it in unique ways and create unique integrations with this. But we think this is quite powerful with this in iBeacons. So let's look at another example of how all these features come together. So the last button you see there is the view traffic button. And what was happening at the gym is as the gym became more and more popular, certain workstations were turning out to be bottlenecks. People were spending too long at a certain workstation and lines were just building up. This led to customer dissatisfaction and pretty much inefficiencies in the gym. What they did is they instated a policy that said that every trainer is allowed to use the station only for about 15 minutes at a time. And then once their 15 minutes is up, they move to another station and leave that station to another trainer. Of course, they can always come back after that if the station is free. So how do they actually track this? Because tracking this manually is very, very complicated. Trying to give stopwatch to everybody and have them synchronize it, it's challenging. So what they did is utilizing the FileMaker platform, they created a traffic map. So when I tap on this, you can see all the 21 different workstations, and you see a timer counting up or counting down in each of these stations. So here, the red one, Wendy C, she's already at the 4-minute mark. That means she spent 4 minutes more than the 15-minute time limit. And then you can see station 16 is free. So this way, the app provided them notifications just to let them know whether they're complying with the business rule set or not. So here, I want to use station 16 next because it's free. I can go ahead and tap on that and confirm my my request to add myself to the queue there. And when I do that, now I know that the station is mine next, and other trainers know that as well. And this is a great way that they use to organize themselves. And the way this was implemented was bringing multiple technologies together. So earlier we talked about iBeacons. And what happens is when this application, when this iPad device comes to a station and the trainer taps on the which station button, that automatically starts counting down the 15-minute timer. So it's all, an intelligent system based off of iBeacons. And then there are scripts, timer scripts and server-side scripts running to keep all this in sync and send notifications to users when they're out of time. So we thought this was a unique way to bring a number of different technologies together to solve a very unique and interesting problem. So the last area that I want to spend time on is what the office manager sees. So you saw a user interface for signing up for clients, making it completely electronic. You saw an interface and technologies for the trainer. But what about the office manager? The way the office manager, what they use this application for is currently, because before they adopted this when they were on paper, they had very hard time generating metrics about their business. They kind of only knew how many clients they had and how many clients left and when, but really didn't have very many insights into it. From all that you've seen so far, all the information now is electronic inside our FileMaker database and FileMaker application, so they can do some very, very intelligent things with this. So they have a dashboard, and when I tap on the dashboard, you see a number of charts here. These charts were all built with FileMaker native charts. We, of course, changed the colors and theme of it to get it to be exactly the way we want it, but theirs are all FileMaker native charts. And with these, the Office Manager, in real time, can track what's happening with members, trainers, and equipment. So then the members enrollment funnel, she knows who's renewed, canceled, joined, declined, and tapping the details, she knows exact breakdown of what happened over the last 7 days and 30 days. And if you look at the trainers, she knows the productivity of the trainers. And interestingly, on the equipment side, using some of that information about the traffic map and also iBeacons, they can map the utilization of certain equipment and the idle time of certain equipment. This allows them to make key business decisions, such as if a equipment is always being registered and always under use, maybe they'll go ahead and purchase multiple sets of that equipment so there's no bottleneck there. If they see that an equipment is underutilized or never utilized because it's always free, there's never iBeacon signal being read from it, well, they know they may just want to retire that device and buy something else that their customers are willing to use. So in this way, they can adjust their business and practices in real time utilizing some of these tools that we have. So let's say now that the office manager, who is a little bit familiar with FileMaker, has been asked by her trainers that they want to see some of this information on the go. Their client calls them while they're out of the fitness center. They have a question about something that they did for training, some advice that they would need. Well, these trainers would love to pull up the information about their clients while on the go. They're not going to have these iPad Pros with them. So the office manager who decided to solve this problem utilizing FileMaker WebDirect. And just as a reminder, FileMaker WebDirect is a FileMaker client that runs in modern web browsers. This web browsers we support are both on our desktop, Windows and Mac platforms, along with tablets, both iOS and Android, and also phone devices, which is new to 15. So same iOS and other OSs as well. So let's go ahead and see how the Office Manager can utilize WebDirect to solve this problem. So I'm going to go ahead and hide the iPad Pro here and bring up my iPhone 6 Plus. So this is using similar technology to what I had on my iPad Pro, which is I have a physical iPhone sitting here and I'm just projecting it on the screen for everybody in the webinar to see. So on the screen, I have a couple of icons here. These are my shortcuts to the WebDirect homepage. And when I tap on one of the icons, it goes ahead and connects to FileMaker Server, and it's bringing up all the icons and all the solutions that are available. This interface probably looks a little bit familiar to you because it's pretty much the same experience that you saw on the iPad Pro there, including the custom icon for tailor fit. So this interface, when we brought it to mobile devices, we are using responsive design to scale it automatically to fit the needs of the height and width of the phone. If this is shown on a mobile tablet or desktop, this interface scales automatically for best fit. Here we have large icons and large tap targets. So when I tap on the tailor fit demo there, you'll see a login dialog come up. This has been optimized for mobile phones as well. So here I can interact with this the same way I interact with an application using the native keyboard. So I'll go ahead and type in my username and password, and then hit the OK button to log me in. So, apparently I typed that wrong. Let's give it one more try here. Okay, so apparently it's not letting. Let's give us 1 second here. There we go. So once we're inside the application, you see a blank layout here. And this was intentional because what we wanted to do is show you how you can use WebDirect to modify, how you can use FileMaker Pro to modify the solution here. So I'm going to bring up FileMaker Pro and place it on the left side of the screen. And here, simply utilizing all the techniques that you already know, I can go ahead and put in a logo, for example. So logo, I have it on my desktop, and I can just drag and drop here, place it in FileMaker Pro, position it to my needs. I can go ahead and put in a trainer name here, and remove this label, resize it, things you're already very familiar with. And then member name as well, you know, who the who the trainer is assigned to. And I'll just go ahead and hit this. So of course there are other things you can do, like text setting different fonts, different line and padding, all kinds of things, rounded corners, corner radius, alignment, number of things you can possibly manipulate with this, but we'll just keep this as simple as this. So I'd go ahead and hit save in FileMaker there. And as soon as I hit save in FileMaker, you see immediately that information in WebDirect. There was really no need to refresh WebDirect. There was no need to compile an HTML, CSS, or JavaScript application and redeploy that. So we think that's pretty compelling. The other thing that we've done with this is the toolbar that you see at the top there. It is, again, using responsive design. So here we have about space for about 5 or 6 icons. But when I go ahead and rotate this device, you can see that now more icons and more user interface shows up because we have more width to show this information. So this comes built in automatically into our toolbars and all the WebDirect application interface. So there's obviously large tap targets here, very easy to read, and this scales across all screen sizes that we support. So I hope that was a good overview of some of the new features in 15, how they all kind of come together to solve real-world use cases. So now I'll hand it back to Robert here to go ahead and finish up this demo, finish up this presentation before we jump into Q&A. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Vin. Well, as Vin said, he went through and showed some real examples of how to not only leverage the new features of FileMaker 15, but as well as the features we've introduced in the past, and I think to great success in that example. And looking at the highlights of this release, which again was really about strengthening those those essential tools that you guys need to create these unique custom apps. And we really did touch on areas such as mobility, giving you native things like Touch ID and the support for iBeacons on FileMaker Go on iOS devices, and of course bringing WebDirect now to mobile phones is going to be huge for us. And then looking at the ease of use, security, and performance, made a number of enhancements there. But let's go on and take a look at the system requirements before we jump into the Q&A. So when we look at on the FileMaker Pro and Pro Advanced side, on Mac OS, we will support the latest OSs, so El Cap as well as Yosemite. And then on Windows, we're going to support Windows 10 Pro and Enterprise editions, as well as Windows 8.1 Standard and Pro, and Windows 7 SP1 Professional and Ultimate editions. With FileMaker Go, we will support running on iOS devices running iOS 9.3 or later. And if you're installing FileMaker Go using iTunes as opposed to through the App Store on the device, you will need to use iTunes 12 or higher. For FileMaker Server, again, same as Pro on the Mac side, El Cap and Yosemite. And on the Windows side, we now support Windows 2012 R2 Standard Edition. It is important that you make sure that you're on the latest update there. And then on Windows 2008, that's also R2 and the SP1 for Standard or Enterprise. For FileMaker WebDirect, we support the following browsers: Safari 9 and later, IE 11 and later. And then for Microsoft Edge, minimum of 25, and Chrome, a minimum of 48. For mobile browsers, Safari 9 on iOS 9 or later, and then Chrome 48 is a minimum on Android 5 or 6. So with that, let's go over and see if we can answer some questions. So, oops, went too far. So the first one is there a file format change with this release? No. So FileMaker 15 will utilize the same file format that we did with FileMaker 14 and all the way back to FileMaker 12. There was a question on what combination of mixed clients and server versions are compatible with each other. So here, it goes beyond the file format change. If you want to host a file, you can go back to FileMaker Server 13v9, and your clients 13, v9, 14, and 15 will be able to connect to those hosts. So FileMaker 15 at the most late or the most recent, and going back to FileMaker Server and Pro 13v9. So can a solution developed in FileMaker 15 be opened and used in FileMaker 14? Yes, it can, but please be aware that if you introduce new features or functionality, they will not work in previous versions. For example, if you use our new concealed edit box, we won't show you the data, we'll actually show an incompatible object type. So do be aware of that. Does the in-place updates require admin rights? So yes, for the system itself, you still will need to have admin rights, just like you would if you were installing an update manually. How do I access app extensions? So within FileMaker Go. So this is something you won't need to do any work as a developer. What we've done is all the places that you can get data out of FileMaker where you're exporting data, we've introduced access to the share sheet, as Vin was pointing out during the demo, and that's where you'll access any apps that support app extensions. As Vin said, there's many options out there. We gave an example using the Messages app. There's built-in Twitter and Facebook into the OS, but there's other more utility apps out there. A great example of one that is really geared more towards specifically FileMaker is MobiPrint, which allows you to print to mobile Bluetooth printers, and that'll show up in the app extensions as well. It's also worth pointing out that because it's tied to exporting, if you did want to limit this and didn't want your customers to be able to share content to other apps, you'd be able to control that through our privileges just like you would any other type of export. Okay, so what happens if a device does not support Touch ID? So the way that this actually works is we're going to be bringing up either the Touch ID on the latest devices or require the person to enter their device passcode. So this isn't the same as the FileMaker password that they put in, but the actual passcode that they enter to unlock their device. And the way that Touch ID works is we're actually unlocking the keychain. So if you've specified that your users can use the keychain and store their credential information in the keychain, then they will have the additional option to store it and even require Touch ID in the future. Next up is, can I detect any beacons that may be in an area? So what I imagine is being asked here is, can I take my iOS device and just go hunting for beacons that are out in the wild? And that's actually not the way it works. It will be looking for very specific beacons that you've pre-configured and you've set up a unique identifier as well as the major and minor values for it. Does FileMaker recommend a specific iBeacon? No, we do not have any specific recommendations on hardware. iBeacon is a standard technology. There's lots of manufacturers out there. We showed even just a handful of them in that slide earlier during the presentation. They come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, including little sticker beacons that you can get on smaller objects you're trying to track the area for. Next up is, how are iBeacons detected? Is it a new script or calculation? So it's actually a new calc function that you'll use, and it'll return the UUIDs for the particular ones that you're looking for, and you can get the approximate proximity of the device to those devices. Does the new separate processing for portals work even if the server is FileMaker 14? So the separate process change is actually happening on the Pro side. So that's something that is Pro specific. Is in the undo function in scripts, does undo data change as well? Does it undo data changes as well? So no, this works very similar to the way that our undo redo works for layout level changes. We've had that for a number of releases now, so you're probably familiar with it. When you're in layout mode, you can make whatever changes to the look and feel of your layout. You can go into browse mode, test those out. If you're not happy with them, go back into layout mode and undo those changes, but it has no impact on the data. Our scripting workspace undo behaves the same way. You can go in, create or edit a script, save it, take a look at the behavior of the script. If you're not happy, you can undo and redo even after the save. You won't lose that undo redo stack until you've actually closed that tab completely out of the script workspace. Okay, can a custom app be opened directly, or does FileMaker Go need to be opened first? So in most cases, if you're using FileMaker Go from the App Store, for example, you will need to go through FileMaker Go first to launch your custom app. And that'll give you access to apps that you either have stored on your device or that you've recently accessed on a host. We do have a way to create and bundle your custom apps into a more native app that you could run directly on your device and see it from the home screen. And that's using our iOS App SDK, which is really geared towards folks that feel comfortable using Xcode. And it does require that you have an FDS subscription as well as a Apple developer subscription to gain access to Xcode to be able to build these. And it's really geared towards allowing you guys to deploy, especially through MDM deployments, which will be much easier for your IT department to manage. And it does also have that benefit of having an app right there on your home screen, and it looks and feels just like a native app. Can I upgrade from FileMaker 13 or 14? Yes, you are eligible for upgrading for upgrade prices if you're coming from FileMaker 13 or 14. And it looks like we've got some server questions. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Vin.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Robert. First question here is, how many connections can FileMaker server support? So this is going to be, of course, restricted by your licensing model. So, if you have the FileMaker licensing for Teams or concurrent licensing for Teams, those are going to restrict you and tell you how many you can connect. But, with that aside, if taking the license model out of the picture, the FileMaker server has unrestricted FileMaker Pro number of clients. So it's only really restricted by your hardware. However, WebDirect is restricted at 100. So you will not be able to get more than 100 there. So I think that should take care of that question. So next one is, does FLT support custom web publishing? For those of you not familiar with FLT, that's the new user-based licensing model called FileMaker Licensing for Teams. So custom web publishing, which comes as part of FileMaker Server, does work under FLT. So the short answer to this question is yes, FLT does support custom web publishing. However, it's counted differently. So when you purchase FLT, you're purchasing for the number of users that use your application. So that only applies to FileMaker Go and WebDirect. For custom web publishing, you can serve more than 5 users if you would like to. The counting for custom web publishing is done differently than Pro, Go, and WebDirect. For more information on this, you should read through our FAQ on the website, or give a call to our team here to discuss it in person. So what are the advantages of using WebDirect on a phone, tablet versus the FileMaker Go application? So we definitely see WebDirect and FileMaker Go as complementary solutions. So Go and WebDirect, of course, run on an iOS device, both tablet and phone, but we don't see them to be competing. So let me give you some examples where maybe one technology makes sense versus the other. So as you saw in the demo today, FileMaker Go is very much built on iOS SDK and iOS API, so it is a native application. And as a result of that, we have access to a number of native APIs, such as signature capture, iBeacons, app extensions, Touch ID, and a number of other features. These features are not possible in the web browser because the web browser just does not allow us access to these things for a number of different reasons. So should you need access to such native feature set, you would definitely want to go with FileMaker Go. But if you're in a situation where you don't have iOS devices, maybe you are on Android devices, then FileMaker Go is the solution there, because FileMaker Go can run on Chrome on an Android device, as you saw in the tech specs part of the presentation. Another place where you may adopt WebDirect is if your IT organization has locked down your phones or your devices, and you're not allowed to download more software or download FileMaker Go. In that case, a browser is always available to you, and you can use WebDirect to access your solution. So, there is no one clear answer that one is always better than the other. As I said, there are complementary technologies which definitely can coexist with each other. The next question here is, can you connect to WebDirect on the road? So there's multiple ways to answer this question. Fundamentally, WebDirect is a client-server application, so it always needs an internet connection to FileMaker Server. That means that there is no offline access. If you're not connected to FileMaker Server, you will not be able to use FileMaker WebDirect. And the FileMaker Server that you have, if you want to use it on the go, as long as it has a public IP address that you can access on the go, such as maybe the train station, you want to use WebDirect as a train station, as long as the IP address, the host name are publicly accessible from the train, or you can definitely access it. Some users deploy FileMaker Server and WebDirect under VPN. So if you have access to the VPN, you can sign up to VPN and go. But there is no offline mode in FileMaker WebDirect. Another example is if you need some offline capabilities, you can always utilize FileMaker Go, because it allows you to use local solutions offline. And I think that pretty much covers the questions that we've received. So we thank you for your time, and we're definitely very excited about the 15 release and all that we've offered, and look forward to seeing what you guys can do with that release as well. So thank you very much for your time today.